Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humanoids of all descriptions, welcome to the channel. I'm Cap. This is my place where this month's free topping is sarcasm. This month, we're back in the kitchen, and as a bit more advanced recipe, we're going to make manicotti. For those of you who've never heard of it, manicotti is a hollow pasta tube, like ziti, that gets stuffed with things like ricotta cheese and ground beef. So, as always, I'm going to start with equipment that's necessary, equipment that's nice to have. I'm then going to clear the equipment utensils away and talk about ingredients. So, I'm going to shut the camera off, reposition it, and we'll get started. Okay. First thing you're going to need for the stovetop is a low, wide pot with a lid. This one is about 9.5 inches across. You're going to need a frying pan. A glass mixing bowl. Either that or ceramic. Glass and ceramic don't impart any flavors or change colors of the foods you're preparing. Some metal bowls, depending on what you're preparing, may do that. You need a sharp knife. As always, you need my grandmother's friend, the wooden spoon. Because this recipe is a little more advanced, we really need, this time, our measuring spoons. You need something like a potato masher. For serving, you need 2 large spoons. This one is slotted. This one's not. Like any type of pasta, this gets cooked. When this gets cooked and it gets baked in sauce, they get soft and they'll move around. You need a cutting board. You need some sort of pan that's safe in the oven. You're going to cover this with foil while you're baking manicotti. Preferably something like this, because when you pick it up using your oven mitts, it's not going to collapse. Finally, on the nice to have list, you've seen this before, a small food processor. It's going to speed things up greatly in mincing the onions and the garlic. Now, I'm going to shut the camera off, clear the utensils away, and talk about the ingredients. Okay, we're back. For our ingredients, we need 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. We need 3 tablespoons of dry parsley. A medium onion, diced. That means small pieces. We need a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of pepper, half a tablespoon of nutmeg, 4 eggs, 2 pounds of ricotta cheese, 6 ounces of romano, 3/4 pound of lean ground beef. And of course, because we're going to lightly fry the onions, we need some olive oil. Let's get started. Okay, so I've lightly fried the onions. You're not browning them, you're softening them so they start becoming translucent. for those of you who were hungover in class, translucent means you can kind of see through it. You're going to let them cool on the side. Lean ground beef in the pan, water. We're going to cover the ground beef with the water. Turn our big burner on high, and we're going to go after this with the spoon initially and break up that chunk of ground beef as it came from the butcher into small pieces. So, for those of you who are wondering, we're using lean ground beef because there's less fat in it. Remember, this is going to be mixed in with cheese. And cheese, obviously, is fat. We're cooking this beef in water so it doesn't form a patty. This is the easiest way to turn ground beef into a crumble. One of the things we're going to use those spoons for that I talked about, the big ones, is as the water heats up, what little fat is in this ground beef, and this is something like 95% lean, that fat's going to come to the surface. When it floats to the top of the water, we're going to use that spoon to scoop off the fat. This takes a while. You need to start this whole thing a solid day before you're going to serve this. You can do it the day of, but you're going to feel rushed. Start the day before. So now I'm going to shut the camera back off, and I'm going to wait for this to come to a boil and show you what it looks like while it's boiling and I'm scooping off the fat that's from the beef. We'll be right back. Okay, this is what we want to see as this beef begins to boil. You can see the fat coming to the surface, and we're just going to take that spoon, not the slotted one, and we're going to very carefully scoop all of this fat off the surface. We're going to get rid of it. As there's less and less of it, one of the things we're going to do is start going after this meat with the potato masher. Remember to work slowly. Don't be in a rush. This just takes time. See how there's still fat in it, so it still wants to form a patty. Again, if you feel like you need more time for this is why you want to start this a day before, go ahead and add more water if you feel you need to, and cook it longer. Okay, so I'm going to do this several times and break this up into little bitty pieces smaller than a pencil eraser. And when it's done, I'll turn you back on. And we're back. At this point, according to my timer, I am now 1 hour and 5 minutes into my prep time. I'm having a longer prep time than you do because I have to break this down into separate steps in order to explain and demonstrate what's going on. You should be about 12 minutes ahead of me. I did have to add extra water, but we should expect that. So at this point, this is what the beef looks like. Nothing's bigger than a pencil eraser. So, what we're going to do now, we've cooled our onions. We're going to add our dry ingredients. We're going to add our jar of cheese. And yes, the whole thing goes in. We're going to add the garlic, which is finely minced. We're going to add all 4 eggs and the entire container of ricotta cheese. And then we're going to grab the wooden spoon and we're going to begin mixing. Once I've done that, I'll turn the camera back on and we'll discuss the next step. All right, we're back. I've been mixing this for a while. Make sure you start slowly. You can't rush this. Don't go flinging the stuffing every place. Once you've got it fairly well incorporated, I'm going to take you guys off the tripod. What you should see is something like this. Now, you may be wondering, Cap, that doesn't look very good. And how am I supposed to stuff that into a pasta shell? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get this wooden spoon cleaned off here. Remember, no matter what you think this looks like, don't go tasting it. It's got raw egg in it, and it's room temperature. As you can see, I've got my foil right here. We're going to cover this. I'm going to cover it nice and tight. So, what I've done is I've taken my foil and I've covered this tightly. And now we're going to put this in the fridge. We're going to leave this stuffing in the fridge for at least an hour, preferably overnight. That's going to accomplish 2 things. Firstly, it's going to allow it to firm up very nicely. And secondly, the flavors are all going to get together and it's going to taste better. Whatever you do, don't stuff your manicotti tubes the day before you cook. If you do, they're going to swell and split. Learn from my mistake. This concludes part 1. I'll be back with a second video where I stuff and finish in the oven, and then we'll open the package up and show you what the finished results are. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you soon.